Welcome back to Powerless to Powerful. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited about my guest, who is actually a co-author in our latest anthology release, Reset and Relaunch by Becoming. This book is super powerful. There's so many stories in here. You need to get your hands on this book. So this is how we connected, through the amazing Apostle Deborah Allen. I must have forgot her surname.
There are so many names.
So many names. So Dr. Diana Collins is here with us today. She's a true Renaissance woman. Dr. Diana Collins has built an impressive career that spans both the stage and the medical field. In addition to her work as a successful actress and model, she holds a doctorate in nursing practice and is a licensed nurse practitioner, as well as a respected nurse educator, podcaster, entrepreneur, and author. And she is a beautiful writer, let me tell you. I was reading her chapter just while I was waiting for her. With her diverse talents and wealth of expertise, Dr. Collins is a dynamic, adaptable professional who excels in a wide range of settings. Dr. Collins, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. I'm a couple of pages into your chapter, and I actually underlined here, I am a proud warrior who served our country only to return home to a nation that looks down upon me as if I am worthless. Nonetheless, I am proud to have made the choice to serve. So thank you for serving your nation to start off with. But there's so many lines in your book, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have this woman here and to hear her story.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to hand the mic to you, and you can just tell us your story, who you are, and I'll just ask questions as you go.
Okay. Wow. You know what? To ask me who I am it to me feels like it's a loaded type of question, because from day to day, I really don't know who I am. I'm really just learning who I am. I think when I turned 40 is when I really started to really dive into who Diana is and what Diana likes and wants to do with herself. I've had children. They were on their way, if not already in college. So yes, it was just like this onion that I've been growing, and now I'm just starting to peel away all the layers and learning about each layer as I find it. So that's it. It's so to ask me who I am, honestly, I'm really still learning who I am. I feel like I haven't even touched the surface. So what everyone is reading and seeing in film, and when I talk to them on podcasts, this is all parts of me that are recent that I just started to learn, and I'm just starting to love. So, I used to identify by my profession. Like, who's Diana? Oh, I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm a mom. I'm a, veteran. I'm a wife. But now I'm just like, I am a person who's just living day to day. By the grace of God, I made it to this point. Okay. Honestly, I tell people, they ask me, how did I do all these things? I said, I didn't do it. I said, God did it. I said, I have no idea how I even got to this point. Because honestly, I'm just to full transparency, I didn't think I would live past 21.
Oh, wow. Okay, see, that's a loaded answer.
Mhm. I didn't think I'd live past 21.
Wow. So I want to interrupt because, yes, being in your 40s is fabulous, or the other side of 40s, because people are like, oh, it's all downhill. I'm like, dude, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting warmed up.
Thank you.
Right?
I'm like, I'll be 50 in spring.
Wow.
And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I'm just starting to live my life. Y'all catch up to me.
Yeah, don't put that paradigm on me, because I don't accept it.
Nope, I don't fit that.
No, that's not for me either. So I love that. And you are just about to become, or awaiting the arrival of your first grandbaby.
Yes.
super excited. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So so you didn't think you would make it past 21. Would you elaborate on that for us?
Yes. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My mom was maybe just almost 16 when she had me, so she was still 15.
Wow.
Um, so, and I grew up in a loving household. I went to private school all my years, that from daycare all through high school. I was in Catholic school. So I was always in with religion, and, we had Catholicism at school, and then I was Baptist at home. So I had both of those doctrines going on in my life. But living in Brooklyn, being a female, being of color, it was always a challenge. And, the fact that, again, that I lived past 21 still amazes me, because I was ready to sign off on life. My life was not textbook. I had my mom, I had my stepdad, we had my brother later on, my grandparents. I lived, I knew my uncles and aunts. So we had this whole family, but I never felt I belonged in the family.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was like my uncles and aunts were like my brothers and sisters, because we were so close in age. So it was, I had that brother sisterly kind of love. And my mom and I never really had that mother daughter connection. I knew she loved me, but it wasn't an overabundance of showing love to me. It was like, I love you because you're my daughter. I have to take care of you. I gave birth to you. That's the feeling in my perception
Yeah,
growing up.
but she was a baby having a baby.
Yes, yes. And this is a part of me that I learned. That's why I said, growing into me, as I
Yeah.
have grown, I learned. I was like, my mom didn't know any better. She was a
Yeah.
child herself, trying to raise a child. I said, I can't hold her to vices of what she was going through. There was no one there to guide her. I mean, my grandma was there, but my grandma was, trying to raise her siblings and,
Yeah.
provide for everybody. So it was those pieces in that aha moment that I didn't have until probably 27, 28 years old of my life. But you growing up with that big chunk of time, not feeling wanted, not feeling loved and cared about, and wandering. That's where, I mean, when I said I didn't think I'll make it past 21, because I was doing all the things that would would and should and probably could have ended my life at some point. And,
Wow.
it was just not, just because I didn't care about myself, because no one else cared. So I didn't have that self-love for me, and there was
Mm.
no one else around saying, embracing me in that manner. So for me, it was that whole that song, looking for love in all the wrong places kind of thing. So whoever showed me kindness and love, that's the person that I would gravitate to.
Yeah.
So for me, again, it wasn't until later on that I said, I have to start loving myself. I got this far, and it wasn't until actually I had my kids that I found that love for me. I tried to commit suicide a couple of times as a teenager. Um, and I remember vividly all the things that I tried to do. And after a while, I had my kids at 20. I joined the army at 18, right out of high school, because I said, I need to do something. So I was like, I need to try to save my life, save
Mm.
myself. So I joined the army. And again, I went to parochial school, and, Catholic school for parochial school. I went to Catholic school for high school. So I had the know-how and the education, but outside of social workers, or not social workers, the guidance counselors in school, there was no one saying, "Oh, you can go to college, you can do this." So I would try these college courses, and like, "Oh, I didn't do well, so I'm just gonna not go, and I'm gonna join the army," because I don't know, it's that something in me, my intuition, that innate. being within me was like, you need to, this is what you need to do. Just go do it. So I just walked in and I just did it. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I walked by and I just walked. You, when I tell you God guided my life, I just did things that I really can't explain why I did it. It's just something in me says, go in there, talk to those people. And so I did. I ended up joining the Army right after graduation. I graduated in June. October, I was on a bus going to St. Louis to boot camp.
Oh,
And I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my mom that I was leaving.
oh,
I just, because at 17, I left her house. So I
yeah.
felt like I didn't need to tell her. So I just got on a bus and went to St. Louis and was in boot camp. And I would say it was the best thing that I have done for myself, because I think if I would have stayed in Brooklyn doing all the craziness that I was doing, I truly wouldn't be here. And I
Wow.
think God and I think God knew that. And that's why he steered me and said, get in there. Because
Yeah.
again, I don't know why I joined the Army. I mean, yes, I have military family members, my uncles, my grandfather, my aunt. But again, I never saw it for me because, again, no one ever talked about it for me. So I was like, okay, I can do this. So I did boot camp. I went to the Army. I was a medic for a little while, came home, was in an abusive relationship, had my daughters, and I said, I have to change something for them because they
Mm,
can't grow up to see this for them, you know. And I definitely did not want them to be a statistic. For some reason, for me, that was something that always stuck with me. My daughters will not be a statistic. I will
amen.
not be a statistic. So I said, I'm going to change me, which is going to help change them. So I ended up going to nursing school and becoming a nurse. And it took a little time because I did it on my own. I had to take a class here and there, work full time, that kind of thing. But my daughters really saved my life. And I tell them as often as I can, is because of you that your mom is still here. Because you gave me a reason to keep going. You gave me a reason to be better and to do better because I want it better for you, for them. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so God guided everything. Again, that's the only thing I can answer. I can give anybody. God looks out for babies and fools, and I said I had to be the biggest fool that was out there back then because He sure took care of me and all the crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I mean when I said I didn't think I'd make it past 20. I didn't. Mm-mm.
Well, praise God that you are. And I relate to that, to what you just said about, your children basically saving your life. Like, I know if my kids weren't, they were my drive in my
Mhm.
life. And I don't necessarily believe that it was God really intended for our children to be our drive, but
No.
I think, like, He does give us things in life that keeps us, like, the reason I had to get up in the morning through a season of
Yes.
my life was my children.
Yes.
So, I get it. I really get it, and they're such a gift for many reasons, but
Yeah.
because they save women's lives,
Hmm.
that's a big part of the fact that they're this gift wrapped in a red bow and just kisses from heaven and so many
Yes.
things. So well done in making that decision in leaving an abusive home, because it's a really big deal
Hmm.
to pack up everything, to separate your family, to make that decision. And it's so brave to go, I'm not going to teach my children that this is normal and acceptable and this is how marriage is, because that's not how God designed it at all. And no one has the right to put their hands on anyone, particularly a man on a woman, because, like, it's just not a fair fight.
No, it's not.
No. And a lot of women risk their lives to stay, but to leave those relationships. They risk what it might cost them, but well done. And I never brush over that, because it is such a big deal, because it's such a big choice to make. And people are always so quick to say, well, why didn't you just leave? Well, it's never that simple to just leave. Unless you've been in the situation, you just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing that. It's really powerful, and it's really important for other women in these situations hear our stories of escape and survival and thriving in life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So thank
Absolutely.
you in that. Wow. So out of curiosity, are you the first doctor in your family?
Yes, I am.
Wow. Congratulations. May you not be the last.
Nope. Nope. My daughter is working on it not being the last, that's for sure.
There you go. Okay, so what are you doing now?
Another loaded question.
Yeah.
Gosh. So right now, okay, so on my regular day-to-day 9 to 5 job, I teach at the university here in Northern Arizona. So I teach nursing. I don't work in the clinics anymore. I really don't know if that's what I want to do. I really love teaching. I love the passion. I love the students get it. I'm just now trying to formulate a way for it that I can take it out of the classroom and do it my way. Because
Wow.
they're changing how we teach and how we get it across to the students and the information. And I just want to change it up. So I'm working on that. So I have an entrepreneur business, Collins Education and Resource Management, where I tutor nursing students from, honestly, from all over. I think I had a student from Thailand before.
Not far from me.
Exactly. So I tutor from all over, tutor nursing students, and I do workshops and seminars to help build them and help lift them and get them into school, one, and then also help with their studying so that they can maintain in the classroom as well. Because it's a challenge to stay in nursing school. It's a challenge to get the understanding of what it is that they're asking, because the school system honestly does not prepare our students very well for higher academia. So when they come to me and they're learning nursing or any healthcare uh, profession, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And I see their passion and I just want to feed their passion. So I built this education to help bridge that education. So it's a supplement to their classroom education. So that's one thing that I'm doing. So I work full time. I have this tutoring business on the side, and I do speaking engagements. I just did an LGBTQIA conversation with the Methodist Church in Colorado via Zoom this week.
Wow.
So I do speaking engagements as well. So there's that with that. I also have the podcast. I have the podcast, The Soulful Eclectic.
What is
Which
it
is
called? Sorry.
The Soulful Eclectic.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a podcast about any and everything. To be honest, it's about being your authentic self. So I really go out and talk to individuals that are in the community, and I talk to all walks of life within the community, and we just talk about being authentic self on a day-to-day basis and the challenges that we face, and how do we get over those hurdles. And I talk about some healthcare things in there, talk about maintaining our health as women, as men. Menopause is a big thing right now. So I've been talking a lot about menopause on the men's side and on the female side, because men seem to think they don't get menopause, but it just looks different for them. So, I talk about that and have those conversations. I have a few spiritual leaders on there, and we just talk about life and
Yeah.
how we're sustaining ourselves and the wellness and spirituality, because mind, body, and soul is all connected. If your mind is right and your soul is together, it's going to heal and save the body. So we talk about it all. And so yeah, so I have my podcast. I'm an actress, so I do that too.
That's amazing. I don't know how you have
Yeah.
time to wish all of this in.
My husband tries to figure that one out too. I don't know. I I try to. I really don't know. It's just all these things that I'm passionate about, and as I spoke about the onion of me peeling away the layers, I'm learning that these are all things that I enjoy, and I enjoy going out into the world for a little while, and then I'll hide for a while. It's just it is. It's wild. I am. I'm very much an empath, and so I'm out in the community and I do engagements. I do have to give myself a little bit of a reprieve before I do another engagement that's big, because it takes a lot from me, and I want to spend time with my family and my husband. So I'm really learning, which is another thing I've been talking a lot about on my podcast, is learning to maintain that balance in
Yeah.
life. The things that we love to do, the things we need to do, and the people we love, and how we don't forget about them while we're navigating all these things that we love to do and we're doing. So it's a balance. It's a fine dance that, every
Yeah.
now and again I trip and fall. You know, we trip and fall on our feet every now and again, but the goal is to get back up, dust yourself off, and get back in that rhythm. So there's that. But yeah, I think that's about all I'm doing right now. I think my podcast.
I
Oh, and I have a skincare line.
Oh, of course you do. Why wouldn't you? Wow. Okay. As
Yeah,
in,
so
foundations as well, or just the cream?
it's creams and moisturizers, because through the menopause and the hormonal skin, my skin was having a complete mutiny, and it all these other products had so many chemicals in them. I mean, it's you read it and you can't pronounce half of them, and being that we're educated, and women, and I'm sitting there and I have to phonetically break a word apart just to pronounce it. I said I shouldn't work that hard to keep my skin healthy and things. So I actually did a lot of extensive research on the herbs and the butters from around the world that pretty much our ancestors were using to keep their skin and their hair and their cells maintained. So I actually combine them all and make a nice butter, and that's what I've been using, and that's what I've been doing. So yeah, so that's the other part of me.
That's so amazing. Excuse me, I really love this because my coaching is around women 40 plus who've lost themselves in life, lost their identity, because we get wrapped up in family and children, husband, career,
Yeah.
as you initially mentioned, and then everyone leaves and it's like, oh, wait, now what? And I love that you have incorporated everything that you love and you do it. And also that you're not defined by it, but
Hmm.
just honoring the parts of you that you love. So the creams and
Hmm.
the mentoring and the podcast, like, it's beautiful. There's so many women out there who will not step into their passions and their purpose because they're frightened, or they listen to that voice, you're not good enough.
Hmm.
Uh, what will people think? Who
Hmm.
cares what people think? And to be honest, most of the time they're not thinking about you because they're too busy thinking about themselves. Who cares?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Things like that. So I love hearing that you're doing all of these things. It gets me so excited, like there's like jumping inside of me.
Mind
Because,
you,
pardon?
sorry, as but not to cut you. I'm sorry to cut you off,
That's
but
okay.
you mentioned that the self talk that happens. We talk ourselves out of it. That's the thing. I talked myself out of so many things,
Yeah.
and and I says, I'm not, I can't worry about it. So it's not that that self-talk is still not there. I still get that, why are you doing that? You're not, that's not going to work. Your idea is too big. No, don't do that. You don't need to do that. Stop that. So that self-talk is still there. But what I
Absolutely.
learned to do with that self-talk is just I practice that mindfulness, right? And it's like, yeah, I hear you and
Mm.
I see what you're doing, but we're not doing that today because I'm going to try it. And if I fail, then guess what? I'll learn from that failure and I'll change it. And the next time I do it, I'll be a success. So thank you. And I go, so it's like that that inner meeting and monologue that I have with myself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And everything happens for a reason. Everything we get to learn, as exactly as you just said, we get to learn, okay, great. So that was a downfall, or that didn't work, or that did work, or I'm really good at that, or maybe I'm not so great at that. And that's okay because I can find someone else who is, all of these things, right? Like even this morning, thank you for saying that about the thoughts that come. Even this morning, I had, like, this is full transparency. I was reading my Bible and I heard Holy Spirit reveal to me the spirits of, um, I attempted suicide a few times over my life as well. And I heard Holy Spirit say, spirit of suicide and spirit of death is crouching at your door, sort of thing. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
exactly his words, but that's what he was meaning. Like, they're hanging around, they're wanting to hold me back and keep me down. And so I went into warfare. And I love that we have these tools and these gifts that God has given us, these weapons to warfare, because our mind is the first place that we are attacked. It's the first place that will stop us from doing something, or the first place that will even have us do something that has consequences that are not going to be great.
Yeah.
So learning those tools and learning how to counteract and learning to capture them first, learning to recognize them, capture them, and casting them down and taking them in control, getting them into control and combating them with the truth. It's so important. So I love that you said that. Thank you, because it's a real thing. The fear of man, and I didn't mean to sound dismissive, but
No.
it's a real thing. And there's women out there who will teach you and give you tools to combat it, because there's so much greatness inside you. And one of the things that I've learned is we become so self-righteous and so what about me? What will people think? But what about the person who actually needs what you've got?
Yes.
What about the person, like, more than thinking about you, what about the person who needs to hear what you've got, or needs the service, or needs the product? Because
Mm-hmm.
we've all been through stuff to get us to where we are today, and none of that needs to go to waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
Utilizing everything, recognizing and utilizing everything that we've built in ourselves, the resilience and the character and the hope and the drive and all of the things, the joy, we can then impart to others and teach them how to break through as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up, pointing that out. That was great and necessary. So is there anything else that you would like to talk about today? And sorry, the one more thing, you mentioned that men go through menopause too, but it looks different. That was brilliant.
Yes, they do. It just looks different. We used to call it, you know what they used to call it? Midlife crisis.
Okay, yeah, that's when they go buy the red sports car.
Yes. Yes. Okay. It's menopause. They're going through menopause. Okay. They're going through the change. Their hormones are doing wacky things. And we gave it this fancy name.
Yeah,
Midlife crisis. Okay, so that's what it looks like for men. Their libido goes, they start losing their hair, the muscle tone, all these things. And so it just looks different for them. And again, we gave it a fancy name, but there it's what it is, menopause.
yeah.
Menopause. Yeah. So yes,
I
men
love
go through menopause.
Yeah, and I love that you're talking about it because that's real too. These are real topics that people need to discuss.
Yes, absolutely.
So is there anything anything else that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah,
Anything you feel?
being an author was really something because I never thought to really write down. I was working with a ghostwriter to write down my story. Because like going that self-talk, I was like, nobody wants to know about what happened to me. I'm somebody I grew up in Brooklyn. It's like I was a typical individual. So having Dr. Allen and Dr. Allen and all the people in the book, and actually sitting down and writing it, it gave me that moment of resetting, reflecting. It was definitely that reflective moment for me. And I appreciate that because I think it ignited another passion and fire within me. I was like, oh gosh, like I need another fire, something burning within me. But it did. It's great. So so that was good. Being an author and seeing that part of me come out. So yeah.
So is this your first attempt? Not attempt. Is this your first accomplishment in writing?
In writing, yes. So I've written poems, and I do my blog. Many of the poems that are on my blog are mine. So I've always written poems. It was kind of my escape growing up as a kid, to write stories and to write poems. I used to make little notebooks. Kids these days wouldn't know what to do, but we used to pretend and cut up scraps of paper and staple them together and make little storybooks for ourselves. That was our entertainment back then for me, anyway.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it was something that I never thought I would do, but again, a lot of what I'm doing is stuff I never thought I'd be doing too. So why not add this to the plate as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
best is yet to come.
I agree. I agree because I think I just barely hitting the tip of the iceberg. Okay,
Yeah.
because you know we all know with icebergs we're only seeing the tip. We don't know what else is underneath. So
Yeah.
I think as the water starts to recede, we're seeing more and more of me as the time goes on. So yeah, I'm enjoying life. I really am, to the best of my ability, with all God's graces. I got my kids, got my health. I'm just doing what I do, meeting great people like you. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. I love how God just connects people just around the world. Like
Yeah.
literally. It's so nothing is impossible with him. Nothing. So what's
Now,
next on the list for you? Pardon?
I said no, nothing at all. What's next for me? Next for me. So next, I am continuing to work on my acting because I do enjoy acting, and I've done a couple of feature films locally, some short films. So I'm really
Wow,
working on getting myself out there for those big major films and TV shows and sitcoms to really get my name out there and
that's
just
awesome.
show the other side of that the other layer of onion that I have, right? I'm showing that off just a little bit. So it's fun. It's fun. And I didn't know that I would love it as much. I didn't know that it would love me this much because I'm actually pretty good at it.
That's so cool. You're so creative. You're so creative. I mean, you're created in the creator's image, so I'm not really surprised. But I love hearing all of these things that you're doing, and they're bringing such joy and creativity out of you, such ability. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. It's great. It's great. I'm no longer allowing that fear to disrupt me. I'm letting it drive me. So I think one of the headings, the poems in my chapter, I think it's called Jeremiah, and I I never knew where that came from, and I had to sit and I thought about it as I was writing it, and I said, you know what, Jeremiah is my fear. I think Jeremiah, I gave a name to my fear. My name of my fear is Jeremiah. I
Wow.
think that is. Yeah. Because Jeremiah is in the actual poem or writing, it is like Jeremiah is like my partner and running away from those chasing us. And at one point, Jeremiah just wants to go back and just be, you know, subservient to whomever is chasing us. And I refuse. And I think at one point I just say, I'd rather die running in the the waters here, the river, than go back and be a slave and work somebody else's something
Mm-hmm.
and die doing that without trying to live my life. So I think Jeremiah was like my fear. Yes, I think that I gave my fear a name, Jeremiah, and I talk to Jeremiah all the time. Jeremiah, you're gonna stay in the corner and leave me alone today because
Do
I'm
you
gonna
have the
go.
Yeah. Do you have the book with you?
I don't. I'm actually visiting my daughter. I'm waiting for my grandson, so I am away out of town.
Do you want me to
And
read that? I've got it right. I have it right here. Would you like me to read it? Can I read it?
you can read it. Sure.
Okay. So just the part that's in bold about Jeremiah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Are you staying, Jeremiah, or are you coming? Indeed, we could perish here, but we will also perish there if we return. I've already made my decision. You have to make yours. They're getting closer while you are standing there debating whether to remain or leave. For whatever long and far my legs will carry me, I'm going to keep strolling along that path. You see, I'm going to die no matter how you phrase it. I shall perish in the river or in the woods if I flee. I will perish working someone else's property in the fields if I return. Jeremiah, I'd sooner run away and die than become another nigger slave. I love myself more than I love you. Dr. Diana Collins. I've never said the N word before. Sorry, everybody. It
That's
wasn't
okay.
my fault.
I know. And I read it on my podcast too, and I said it too. I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I apologize, but I think that really gives a, a true color to
Yeah.
what it is and um, how my life has been, and
Wow.
those before me has been, because that's the truth of what it is. And to be honest, the power that word used to have does not have hold the same for me.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, I, I, we as people give power to these words,
Mm.
and I have chosen to take that power away. And it's like, no, I choose not to use it. And if someone else out there decides they want to use it,
Mm.
that's their business. And if they use it towards me, it's up to me to decide whether or not I claim that word for me.
Yeah. Wow. That's so good.
And if someone says it to me to call me out of my name,
Mm.
you're not talking to me, because that's not me. That's not how I identify as me. That's
Come
not
on.
a part of me, because I am far from ignorant. I'm very intelligent, and by the very meaning of the word, is an ignorant individual. And to me, you're the ignorant one, because of all the vocabulary words you're using that.
Exactly.
So
I agree.
so it is just, I take the power away from it
Yeah.
and use it for what it is, and
Yeah.
for those kinds of things. So yeah, so Jeremiah is my fear.
So interesting. That's so beautifully written, and it really well mirrored what you had just said before that. So I'm glad I actually had it there to read. I was actually reading Jeremiah this morning, or listening to. I had it on audio,
Mhm.
And it's I don't know what the name Jeremiah means. Maybe you do.
Mhm. No, I actually don't. I never looked at Jeremiah.
Yeah, right. And it's interesting that you related it as fear. And I remember I only got to verse chapter 2, I think, because I kept going back to listen to. I was like, wait, what was that? Because he said, I'm only a 13-year-old child. I'm too young. And God
Mhm.
touched his mouth. God corrected him and said, don't even mention your age again, and touched his mouth and God put his words in his mouth, in Jeremiah's mouth. And I love that because we make excuses to keep us where we are, to keep us stuck, to keep us in our fear. People allow things to keep us there, any excuses, and it's generally things that people have spoken over us, the power of the words. Again, what you're saying about the word that we were just discussing, and taking the power away from it. And I love that, and I love that you've correlated it with fear. And I don't know why that all happened, but it's just a bit cool.
Yeah.
It was
I think
brilliant.
it's yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That's just I don't know. Again, it's just at the time where I was. Each one of those poems, little snippets of my writing. There is different stages of my life of where I was during that time, and so
Yeah.
I shared. I thought I'd share it with everyone. It, I mean, honestly, when you're limited to the number of words, you really
Yeah.
have to pick the big pieces, and I think I picked the big pieces to really address and talk about. Because that's me. It's me in a nutshell.
You
Yeah.
really are a beautiful, a stunning writer, and I encourage you guys to get this book.
Yes. Yes. I'm ordering all my copies now so I can have them on the
Yeah,
road with me.
that's awesome. So good. Dr. Collins, is there anything that you would like to leave with our listeners today as we wrap up?
You know what? I just like to say I'm just going to end off with Jeremiah kind of thing because that's where we left off. Don't your fear, whatever you. Honestly, I would name your fear because I need a name and it besides fear. So I think that's where Jeremiah comes from, and whatever you name your fear, whoever your fear is, if it's something that keeps coming to you, because God will never give you more than you can handle.
Mm.
And he's going to give you the tools to handle it. It may not be today, tomorrow, but as you navigate what it is that you're passionate about and that you want to do, you'll find that each day it becomes easier and easier because God has provided those pieces to help you as you're walking that walk. But I just say don't let your fear stop you from what it is that you want to do. Let it fuel you. That's your fear should be your fuel to navigate and to do and to just strive. If you fail, you know what? Failure is part of success. You can't
Mm.
be successful at many things unless you have a few failures. Otherwise, how are you learning? How are you learning? So
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to leave with. You know,
Yeah.
I think so. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And I just want to add,
Mhm.
because this scripture keeps coming to mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. And when we know who we are in Christ, when we know who our God is as well, we can overcome fear. Fear can sometimes be a good thing, like fear of falling off the
Yeah.
edge,
Yes.
like using it in the correct context,
Hmm.
but and remembering that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. And power is a thing for us as followers of Jesus. So, yeah,
Yes.
it's been such an honor to have you share and to get to know you now that we're in the same book. I'm loving getting to know the authors, some of the authors who took advantage of this, chance to share their
Absolutely.
story. Like, come on. So, yeah, thank you so much. Did you want to drop the name of your podcast and your website?
Oh, sure. Everyone can follow me on the Soulful Eclectic. It's on all podcast streaming platforms and on WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV, which is an international TV and radio station. And also, Collins Education Resource Management.com is the healthcare website for nursing students. You know, anyone going into school for healthcare. I've had med students that I help tutor as well. So if you're going to pursue a career in healthcare as a profession, please reach out if you're struggling. I'm more than happy to help. And Divine Nubian Essentials for loving the skin you're in. That's just all me. And then if you are so inclined and want to know what I'm doing in the film industry, you can find my IMDb under Diana Collins on imdb.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Collins. Well, and I wish you all the best with your grandbaby as he brings himself into this world at the perfect time.
Yes, I think so. So thank you so much, Dr. Bennett. I appreciate you so much for having me. Oh, thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, you too. God bless you, and I'll catch up soon.
Yes, we'll catch up soon. God bless.
Follow Angela on Facebook and LinkedIn at Angela Bennett, on Instagram at angieb_transformations, or visit angieb.com.au. And remember, your past does not define you, it refines you.